I'm Lori Lane Zucker, founder and president of Impact Entrepreneur, and I'm here at Mission Investors Exchange 2024 National Conference in Los Angeles with Jessica Droste Yagan from Impact Engine. And it's great to see you, Jessica. Jessica, tell me about Impact Engine. You've been a real pioneering organization in the impact space for quite a while. So I'm interested in hearing, about the origination of the organization and then how it's evolved over the years, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And you've been a pioneer yourself, so it's been fun to be on the journey together. So the through thread of everything we've been doing at Impact Engine over the years is trying to build the impact investing ecosystem, trying to move more capital into alignment between financial and social returns. And as you know, the industry and the market has evolved quite a bit. So what was needed to do that, 12 years ago when Impact Engine started is very different from what is needed now. So we've always tried to take a look at the big picture and figure out what are we good at, what's needed now, and what can we do that actually helps move more capital off the sidelines. So if you look at our evolution, we started as one of the first impact accelerators in 2012. In 2015, we launched one of the first institutionally managed impact venture funds focused on early stage venture, direct investing. In 2019, we launched one of the first impact private equity funds, and really acknowledging that as those companies were growing up and also as investors wanted to allocate more capital across asset classes, private equity was a space, employs a third of the US population, it's a third of GDP. We needed impact there. And in that case, we actually started investing in other funds as well, because now there are many more impact funds in the ecosystem. We wanted to see that grow. So we invest in mostly emerging managers or, first and second time funds and try to support them alongside investing in impact companies at the growth, equity, and buyout stages in that strategy. So today, we have the ability to invest in both funds and companies and across all stages of the private company spectrum. So from early stage venture to buyout. And we've also started to be able to partner with others to help move capital. So, for example, we launched a partnership in 2022 with AllianceBernstein's Private Wealth Group, so that for the first time ever, they're offering their clients private markets impact solution. We can help manage that for them.
Now, you're based in Chicago, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always understood that in the early days, you were very Chicago-centric. These days, with the investments you're making in funds, am I right to assume that you are active much further afield?
That is correct. Not surprisingly, when we started as an accelerator, the CEOs would come stay with us for 3 months. And it happened to be October through January. So we had a lot of Chicagoans doing that, as opposed to people coming to Chicago to do that. And as we've grown and expanded over the years, our venture fund was really across the United States and Canada, mostly in the United States. And really with the ability to invest in funds, we've gone international. Because while we don't feel confident that we should be making decisions on a company by company level outside the United States, which is what we're most familiar with, US and Canada, we absolutely do feel like we have the right skill set to evaluate fund managers outside the United States and Canada. And so about 30% of the capital, for example, in our latest strategy is going outside of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you know, impact measurement and management, IMM, is such an important part of our space. I'm interested in learning more about, how you as an investor in funds see IMM in terms of how you're doing due diligence around funds you might invest in, and then in terms of tracking the impact success of those funds on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. So we created a scorecard rubric, not surprisingly called IMPACT. So it's an acronym, IMPACT. And we tried to lay out what we think are the most important dimensions of running and building an impact firm and fund. And so it'll include the things you would absolutely expect to see. How is impact embedded in your investment strategy? How is it embedded into your sourcing and diligence, portfolio management? How do you collect impact metrics? How do you make sure those metrics are thoughtful? Is there any additionality you bring to that? So those are probably some of the more normal things people look at. And then we have other components of like, are you doing anything to build the industry? How are you always looking to improve? What's the feedback loop to make sure that what you think is good today is still, good a year from now? How do you run your firm from a diversity perspective, ownership perspective? Do you take into account DEI, ESG? Totally different from necessarily an impact lens in your investment strategy in some cases, but still important. So we created this rubric. We do an inbound score as we're doing diligence and deciding to invest in a fund. And then we use it as a tool for conversation. So, hey, here's what we think. What do you think? Here's where we think you might be able to improve. Here's how we might be able to help. What do you think? And then the goal is to, see those scores improve over time. By the way, we also graded ourselves on it. And we also want to see ourselves improve over time as well.
So here at Mission Investors Exchange, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on kind of the current state of philanthropic mission investing, impact investing, the current state, as well as where you see it going or where it should be going in the future.
Well, it's no doubt better than it's ever been, in that just simply by the number of people you see in the room, how many people are here, the topics you see covered. So, for example, we just left a lunch plenary session where they're talking about unlocking all of your assets for impact. And, 5-10 years ago, that was not even really on the table. Maybe, one person in the corner might have said that.
Yeah.
Now it's on the main stage at a plenary session. This idea that it's not crazy. Actually, let's figure out how we could do that. How could we all do that? And to me, that is the direction it has to go. If it was up to me, I would pass a law that says if you want to enjoy charitable status and have tax-advantaged capital, you have to be using it for good. And I think that's the direction we need to go. I don't think there's a sustainable version of like kind of hoarding capital. Having these organizations that are basically 95% investment firm that give away 5% of their profits is not going to be sustainable for the long term. So I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, great. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sitting down with me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.